Okay, so what I want you to do while I read this short excerpt aloud is I want you to think about what does this author do in terms of characterization that makes this so effective. Why is this such a good example of characterization? Somebody tell me what you're going to listen for as I'm reading.
Why it makes him good.
What about the characterization?
What makes it good?
Say that louder.
What makes it good?
Yeah, why is this such a good example of characterization? Okay? You follow along with me? It was December, a bright, frozen day in the very early morning. Far out in the country, there was an old Negro woman with her head tied in a red rag, coming along a path through the pine woods. Her name was Phoenix Jackson. She was very old and small, and she walked slowly in the dark pine shadows, moving a little from side to side in her steps, with the balanced heaviness and lightness of a pendulum in a grandfather clock. Do you know what a pendulum is?
Yeah, kind of. Yes, like that thing that
The thing that does this, that swings, right? Swings back and forth.
that thing.
She carried a thin, small cane made from an umbrella, and with this she kept tagging the frozen earth in front of her. This made a grave and persistent noise in the still air that seemed meditative, like the chirping of a solitary little bird. She wore a dark striped dress reaching down to her shoe tops, and an equally long apron of bleached sugar sacks with a full pocket, all neat and tidy, but every time she took a step she might have fallen over her shoelaces, which dragged from her unlaced shoes. She looked straight ahead. Her eyes were blue with age. Her skin had a pattern all its own of numberless branching wrinkles, and as though a whole little tree stood in the middle of her forehead, but a golden color ran underneath, and the two knobs of her cheeks were illuminated by a yellow burning under the dark. Under the red rag her hair came down on her neck in the frailest of ringlets, still black, and with an odor like copper. So what things set this apart in terms of characterization? What makes this an excellent example of that skill? Say that again, Sarah. Yeah, what things stand out to you, Sarah? Okay, so you're pointing out the part where it talks about the wrinkles and compares it to a tree in the middle of her forehead. Okay. What kinds of details do you notice in this description? Lacey.
Compared to something.
Yeah, I like that. Not many of my classes pick up on that. I think that where we might just say that she had wrinkles on her forehead, this author goes on to say what?
What they look like.
What they look like, and what do they look like?
Trees.
A tree in the middle of her forehead. And where we might just say when she just walked, and as she walked, she swayed side to side, this author goes on to say what?
Like a pendulum.
It was like a pendulum, swinging back and forth. So yeah, I think that this author does a nice job of taking those descriptions and making them deeper. Now, do we only see what Phoenix Jackson looks like? For the most part. Is that all, though? What other kinds of details are used?
What she's doing.
Yeah, her actions.
What her job might be and how she does it.
We see how she moves. Yeah. Does Eudora Welty, our author, use only sight details, though? Find a different detail that's not sight, and raise your hand when you find it. Find a detail that's not a sight detail, and raise your hand when you find it. Keep your hands up. Brianna, what'd you find?
Like copper.
Yeah, her hair has an odor like copper. Are there any others? Find another. Raise your hand when you find it. Raise your hand when you find it. There's another place in here where we use more than just a sight detail. Some of you aren't even looking at the text. Emily, what is it?
Chirping of the bird.
Yeah, is it actually a bird chirping though?
No.
What's the sound?
No, she doesn't chirp.
But it's like the chirping of the bird. What's like the chirping of the bird?
Her steps.
The cane. So she's taking the cane and what's she doing with it? She's poking it into the ground. Now, why do they compare it to the chirping of a bird?
Might sound like that.
Does it sound like a bird chirping?